Imagine sitting down to a meal served on a plate that never empties. Every time you take a bite, more food appears. Overwhelmed? Welcome to the world of data consumption. In today's world, we're not just eating food, we're also consuming data, and lots of it. Every single day we're served a buffet of information so vast and varied, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose. The internet, our smartphones, social media, emails, news outlets, they're all constantly feeding us with new data. We're living in an era where more than 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created each day. To put that into perspective, if each byte were a grain of sand, you could cover the entire surface of the Earth, not once, not twice, but over 3 times. And what's even more mind-boggling is that this figure is growing exponentially. It's predicted that by 2035 the digital universe will grow to 175 zettabytes. That's 175 followed by 21 zeros. It's an almost incomprehensible number. On an individual level, an average person is said to consume around 34 gigabytes of information each day. That's the equivalent of watching 9 DVDs back to back without any breaks. And it's not just about the volume, it's also about the variety. We're juggling multiple streams of information from different sources, all at once. We're reading an email while scrolling through social media, with a news channel playing in the background. It's like trying to watch multiple movies at the same time, on the same screen. In this unending buffet of information, we are all trying to digest more than we can handle. We're constantly trying to keep up with the relentless flow of new information. We're always plugged in, always online, always connected. But at what cost? This is where InfoShock steps in. Ever felt your mind buzzing with information, unable to focus or think clearly? You might be experiencing InfoShock. Now you may be wondering, what exactly is InfoShock? Well, it's a term used to describe the mental and emotional strain we experience when we're exposed to an overwhelming amount of information. In our modern world, where data is generated at a dizzying pace, InfoShock is becoming an increasingly common phenomenon. Imagine this. Every single day, we're bombarded with hundreds of emails, thousands of social media posts, countless news articles, and an endless stream of notifications from various apps. All this information competes for our attention, and it can feel like we're trying to drink from a fire hose. This constant flood of data can leave us feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and mentally fatigued. That, my friends, is InfoShock. But it's not just about feeling overwhelmed. InfoShock can have a profound impact on our mental well-being. It can lead to anxiety, as we worry about missing out on important information or not being able to keep up with the latest news and trends. It can cause stress, as we struggle to process and make sense of all the information we're being fed. And perhaps most troublingly, InfoShock can lead to decision paralysis. When we're presented with too many options or too much information, it can become incredibly difficult to make decisions. We can end up feeling stuck, unable to move forward because we're simply overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information. So, what can we do about InfoShock? Well, the first step is recognizing that it's a problem. Too often we accept information overload as a normal part of life in the digital age, but it doesn't have to be. We can and should take steps to manage the amount of information we consume and how we process it. InfoShock isn't just a buzzword, it's a reality of our digital age, and it's high time we learn to manage it. From sleepless nights to a lack of focus, InfoShock can seriously affect our lives. It's like a thunderstorm of data, incessantly raining down on us, and just like a real storm, it can leave a path of destruction in its wake. Firstly, let's consider productivity. In theory, more information should make us more efficient, right? Wrong. It's been found that an overload of information can actually decrease productivity. A study conducted by the University of California reveals that an average office worker is interrupted every 3 minutes by a digital notification. This disrupts focus and makes it difficult to complete tasks efficiently. Next, let's talk about mental health. The constant barrage of information can lead to a state of chronic stress, known in the medical community as information fatigue syndrome. Symptoms can range from indecisiveness and difficulty concentrating to feelings of anxiety and even depression. Dr. David Lewis, a renowned neuropsychologist, equates the mental stress caused by constant information bombardment to the physical stress of running a marathon. Finally, let's look at how InfoShock can impact our personal relationships. Ever been at a dinner table where everyone's scrolling through their phones instead of talking to each other? That's InfoShock at work. A study by the American Psychological Association found that overuse of digital media can lead to lower quality relationships and decreased face-to-face interactions. But it's not just our personal relationships that suffer. Our relationship with ourselves is at risk too. the constant flow of information can leave us with little time for self-reflection or personal growth. In a world where we're always connected, it's easy to lose touch with who we really are. So, we're left grappling with decreased productivity, compromised mental health, strained relationships, and a diminishing sense of self. It paints a pretty grim picture, doesn't it? As we can see, InfoShock isn't something we can simply ignore. But is there a way out? We can't stop the flow of information, but we can learn to swim instead of drowning. This is our mantra for navigating the vast seas of data that surround us in the present day. But how do we become proficient swimmers in this ocean of information? Let's dive into some strategies that can help us manage information overload. Firstly, it's crucial to set boundaries. Just like we need fences to keep our gardens from turning into jungles, we need to set limits to keep our minds from becoming cluttered. This could mean setting specific times for checking emails and social media, limiting the number of news sources you follow, or even turning off notifications on your devices for certain hours of the day. The aim here is to create dedicated spaces of tranquility amidst the constant chatter of the digital world. Secondly, we need to prioritize quality over quantity. In the age of information, it's easy to fall into the trap of equating more information with better understanding. However, the truth is that not all information is created equal. Some sources are reliable and insightful, while others are misleading or simply irrelevant. Therefore, it's essential to cultivate a discerning eye, and focus on consuming information that truly enriches our understanding of the world. Next, let's talk about digital detoxes. This might sound radical in our hyper-connected world, but sometimes the best way to clear our minds is to disconnect entirely. This doesn't mean you have to move to a remote island and live off the grid. It could be as simple as dedicating one day a week to staying offline, or setting aside a few hours each day for activities that don't involve screens. By giving our brains a break from the digital world, we can refresh our minds and regain our focus. Finally, let's consider the concept of mindful consumption of information. Just like we need to be mindful about what we eat, we need to be mindful about what we feed our minds. This means being present and attentive when we consume information, rather than mindlessly scrolling through feeds or multitasking. By being mindful, we can absorb information more effectively, and more importantly, we can better discern what information is truly worth our attention. In the grand scheme of things, these strategies are not about shutting out the world or living in ignorance. They are about empowering ourselves to navigate the information age with intention and discernment. They are about learning to swim in the ocean of information, rather than drowning in it. So, as we sail into the future, let's remember this. It's not about ignoring the world around us, but about finding a balance in the information age. Let's strive to be mindful navigators, discerning consumers, and proficient swimmers in the vast sea of data that surrounds us. Because in the end, the true power of information lies not in its abundance, but in our ability to harness it wisely. Now that we understand InfoShock and how to manage it, it's your turn to act. We've delved into the abyss of data, confronted the InfoShock phenomenon, and explored strategies to strike a balance. But the journey doesn't end here. In this world where data is as abundant as air, it's crucial for us to share our wisdom, our experiences, and our strategies. So, how do you manage the deluge of data? What are your secrets to staying afloat in this ocean of information? We encourage you to share your thoughts, your strategies, your personal anecdotes in the comments below. Let's start a conversation. Let's learn from each other. Let's help each other find that elusive balance in this information age. Remember, knowledge shared is knowledge gained. And in this quest for balance, your insights could be the lifeline someone else needs. Remember, in this age of information, silence can be golden. Share your thoughts below and let's help each other navigate this ocean of information.